After almost 6 long years since reMarkable 2 came out, which was a gigantic success for reMarkable as a company, we now have an important product coming at an important time for the company as well. Returning to the roots, maybe even prior to reMarkable 2, we now have reMarkable Pure. So what do we have here after such a long time, and why is it a return to the roots? After the foray into the Gallery 3 panels on the reMarkable Paper Pro series, the Paper Pro and the Paper Pro Move, we now have a return to monochromatic displays. Unlike what majority of us probably have expected, reMarkable Pure doesn't sport a 300 ppi screen, and it doesn't have a front light. So we have a non-frontlit 226 ppi screen. So that means that we have a monochromatic non-frontlit 10.3 inch screen that sports the resolution of 1404 by 1872, which is exactly the same as we've had on the reMarkable 2, and indeed on the reMarkable 1 from back in 2017. But obviously, this is the third generation of their canvas screen. This is based on a Carta 1300 stack. reMarkable has invited me this time as well to their headquarters to give me the test device, which is the one that we have here. And they also did a presentation, everything. One of the main focuses that they've had for this screen is to improve the contrast and the quality of rendering. Their claim is that the 227 ppi specifications of the screen is not something that should matter too much. We will put that to the test in detail when I do the in-depth review, and in this video, because it's just first impressions, I will try my best to kind of compare back and forth between, let's say, Go 10.3, which is a 300 ppi monochromatic non-front-lit device, and this one here. Internals are very, very similar to the reMarkable Paper Pro Move, which means that it's using the same SoC, so dual core. We have 32 gigabytes of storage, so not 64 gigabytes of storage. This time it's made out of plastic. That affects three factors. Price, because this is $399 US with a standard marker set and no folio, and $449 with the folio and the premium marker. So the set that you actually see here is $449. The second consequence of going with the plastic is that it's actually considerably lighter at 360 grams. So now we have a 10.3 inch device at 360 grams. And that matters because when you grab it into the hand and you kind of handle it, you absolutely feel it. So that's a really good thing to see. And then finally, talking about grab it in the hand, this is maybe my own personal kind of thing, but I've talked about this previously. When I'm handling a device like reMarkable Paper Pure, for example, or Supernote Manta, or reMarkable 1, I feel much more free to handle the device, chuck it around and just use it, knowing that it can take it. And reMarkable says that they have tested it and that it's supposed to be able to take it. We will see how that actually turns out to be in reality. But my first personal impression of actually just handling the device, and if I compare it to reMarkable 2, reMarkable 2, even today, I feel very cautious how to handle it because it has glass on the front, glass on the back, and metal all around, which is aluminum. And I know that it's really fragile because it's super thin at 4.7 millimeters, and it was, dubbed the thinnest tablet in the world way back when in 2020. Talking about thinness, that is no longer the pursuit here, because reMarkable Pure is actually 6 millimeters thickness. Now, not the edge here is a little bit thinner because it does have this curving here, which is actually quite nice for handling the device. Now, let's check out the design and the build quality. Well, we got an asymmetrical design, meaning one wider side here for holding your device, which basically mimics exactly what we've had with the reMarkable 2. And if you overlay them on top, you will actually see that the line and the width of the whole edge is pretty much exactly the same as it is on the reMarkable Pure. And we can see that that increased thickness has allowed reMarkable Pure to actually shrink itself, so it's not as tall as the reMarkable 2. So if you were happy with the asymmetrical design on the reMarkable 2, that is good news, because that exact same width is transferred to the reMarkable Pure. With the benefit that we've lost that big chin that we had on the reMarkable 2, that is no longer the case here, as reMarkable Pure is actually equipped with an accelerometer, so it has auto rotation, which is a good thing. And we have equal bezels on 3 of the sides of the device. So it's actually something that can be conveniently and nicely used in a landscape format, which was not the case with any other reMarkable device before, because they always had that chin that would kind of not lend itself to be a nice type of an overview in a landscape view. reMarkable Pure is the first one from the reMarkable that actually offers that. On top we do have that power button, but everything is plastic. And then we have this edge which has this etching, which is exactly the same type of pattern that we've seen on the Paper Pro series, both the Paper Pro and the Paper Pro Move, except that this time it's in plastic. But I do have to say that in traditional reMarkable's manner, the hardware side of things, it's quite difficult to actually get this level of precision with plastic. Normally, when you actually get a plastic device and you try to add these levels of details, something goes wrong, or it's not really nice, or it doesn't really feel good. There is absolutely none of that here. So despite the price range and it being much cheaper of a device, there's absolutely nothing on the edges here except actually perfectly rounded and really pleasant tactile surface to actually handle. And of course on the bottom we do have that single USB-C, which is for data communication and charging. On the back we have anti-slip pads, so we got 4 of the anti-slip pads and the reMarkable logo, right? But there's also a very important addition, which is screws on the back plate. Some of you may say like, oh my god, is it going the route of the Supernote Manta that you can repair it yourself? Well, no, not really, because they don't have replaceable modules or anything like that. But what that means is that serviceability, repairability, and the longevity of a device is much longer than what we've had before. So they've continued with losing the use of glues in the reMarkable Paper Pro. Then they lost even the use of double-sided sticky tapes in the reMarkable Paper Pro Move. And now they've lost the use of sticky tapes and everything wherever they could. And they've actually gone back to what in my book is something that we never should have left, which is serviceability of your device. And that's a really cool thing to see. Overall, I think the design is okay. It's nothing spectacular, it's very subdued, and it's extremely minimal. But reMarkable users are used to reMarkable devices having a lot of kind of pizzazz and bling and swing. I mean, even if today you take a look at reMarkable 2, it looks and feels really special. This feels good, but it doesn't really feel special. Somebody may not like that, but for me, for the purposes of actually owning a device, living with a device, and using it, I would personally always prefer to use a device that feels like this than this. I would prefer to look at the reMarkable 2. Yes, it still feels special, but I would feel constrained when using it. This gives me an extra layer of freedom. Maybe it's just me, but do hit me in the comments down below, because I'm really interested to hear your thoughts on that. I think that they match the color of the frame to the screen very nicely. We have extremely small distance from the surface to the screen, thanks to it not having a front light. The color itself, I think it works. Again, it's subdued, not in your face, and it's just there to kind of, hey, I'm here, let's work. That's the vibe that I'm getting from this one. You may like that, you may not like that, but primarily I think that this is very honest design, and the honest message that the device actually gives to the user. Quality-wise, I also need to mention just one thing, and that is that on the back, they actually have paddings inside to prevent reverberations or hollowness and to make sure that the components and everything is sticking. And you can actually feel that as you're handling the device because it doesn't have flex, it doesn't have hollowness, it doesn't feel like plasticky kind of cheap thing. It actually feels really, really good. And that's thanks to the exceptional build quality and attention to detail all around this device. So I like it. What about the pen? Well, we got the standard marker, but it's the Paper Pro marker. So we got the active pen. What does that mean? Well, it means that it has a battery inside, and that means that it's being charged by the device. It also means that it can communicate when you remove the marker. That also means that this marker provides for the blisteringly fast performance that we've had on the reMarkable Paper Pro as well. This is something that we should be expecting to be matched on the reMarkable Pure. The device also has that same exact glass that is itself actually surfaced so that it has a structure as a paper. It doesn't have film on top or anything like that. So it's the same exact writing feel as the reMarkable Paper Pro or the reMarkable Paper Pro Move. That's obviously the design that they've kind of invested in, and basically if you're going with this pen and with this nib, you're going to be getting that type of a screen as well. I think that that goes as a package. That also means that if you didn't like the writing feel of the reMarkable Paper Pro, then that's exactly the same thing that you're going to be having on the reMarkable Pure. That also means that you won't be able to use your passive pen if you've had reMarkable 2 and you were waiting to upgrade to reMarkable Pure or reMarkable 3. You won't be able to continue using your old EMR pen simply because it is not compatible. You will have to use the new active pen system. They've also designed completely new way of handling, what the cover is supposed to do. And it comes in 3 colors: dark blue, greenish, teal type of color, and we have this pinkish color here as well. The cover itself, it's not the flipbook cover anymore. It's a carry cover this time, because it's been designed to basically hold your device in a nice and secure way for portability. So you basically just slide it in, close it, and that's it. That's your carry pouch. And it's nice and soft. So it has nice thicker layers, it has multiple layers. They talked me through the selection of materials, how many different materials kind of go into creating this cover. So you can see immediately you have like one type of material, coarse, for the outside because it's rugged, so it can take a beating, it can kind of do a lot of things. Then you have this nice kind of squishiness layer between. Then we have the underneath layer here, which is a little bit finer canvas. And then we have the insides, and on the insides, you can actually see that there's like 2 layers. One is with more friction, one is with less friction. So we have less friction on the inside so that the device can nicely slot in. And we have a little bit more friction on the outside here to kind of keep it in place when you want to keep it in place. So all that means is that it's actually extremely effortless in traditional reMarkable's hardware design sense. Everything is designed the way it should work. The previous flap to hold the pen, it worked brilliantly, I think, on reMarkable Pro. This one, I mean, this is so nice. It's so easy. It just goes a little bit here so you can effortlessly kind of flip it open. It's held by magnets, and it's held properly by magnets. The fitting is excellent. The device is not jiggling about or anything like that. So it just naturally fits. And this is a very difficult thing to actually achieve for something to, if for anyone who's trying to make something to get to the stage that feels effortless, it takes a lot of work. And one more thing, stitching, 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 stitching. On the other side, stitching all over the place, proper stitching, not faking things at all, but actual proper type of stuff. I like to see this kind of stuff. I like the look of it. I like the function of it. Maybe I'm old school, but I actually prefer something like this so that I can take this out and then just use my device. And then when I'm done, I simply put it in the pouch and off I go. It installed an update, so let's give it a restart that it's asking before I start doing the documents and writing. One last thing while it's actually restarting, and that's the battery life. So they've worked on improving the battery life. They're now claiming for the reMarkable Pure that in most common situations how the device is typically used, you know, huge asterisk there. We will see what their commonly used situations actually are and involve, but you should be able to expect 3 weeks from this device as opposed to 2 weeks from, let's say, reMarkable Paper Pro Move or the Paper Pro. Those claims are always difficult to kind of, you know, maintain, because it really depends on what type of Wi-Fi you have, how strong the signal is, how often it communicates, how you use it, do you put your pen on the screen or not, what your, you know, kind of what your usability habits are. But what that actually translates to is that you should get better battery life from the reMarkable Pure than you've got on reMarkable Paper Pro Move and on the reMarkable 2. And I will be doing the deep battery testing for the in-depth review, and then we'll see how it actually compares against the claims and against other reMarkable devices and other devices as well. I hope that you're enjoying the first impressions of the reMarkable Pure so far. This short interruption here is just to let you know that I've recently released MDO, My Daily Organizer 2027, which now comes in classic and grayscale as well as in color variations, and I've also released the 2026 version in color and 2 new variations, the academic and the fiscal year variations, and all of them come in classic and color variations. My Daily Organizer works absolutely perfectly on the reMarkable Pure, and it's an incredibly good and productive companion that you can add to a device like reMarkable Pure, but it also works on pretty much almost any other e-paper device that supports hyperlinks in PDFs, documents, and writing in documents. That's it. If you have those two, you can run MDO, and it can help you organize your yearly, quarterly, monthly, weekly, daily, professional or personal life. And by purchasing MDO, not only are you going to get an excellent product that's already helping thousands of people and has like really good reviews from people all over the world, but you also directly help support independence of mydeepguide. So if you like the work that I do, that's a really good way to support the channel as well. And now let's return to the reMarkable Pure. Realistically, I think that this device should be compared to the reMarkable 2 for the reMarkable owners, because that's most of those who are going to be interested in this one. And when you're talking about that, the overall kind of responsiveness, just navigating through the system, through the files, doing all of these kinds of things, and of course like responsiveness of the keyboard as well. So let's say my new folder, it's very responsive, unlike reMarkable 2, simply because we have a newer SoC there, and it's newer screen as well because it's much faster. So that type of stuff, just navigating around the tablet itself, this time feels really good. We could see the hints on the reMarkable Paper Pro series. You could definitely see that it was fast, but because it was paired with that really sluggish nature of the refresh rate of a Gallery 3 panel, you couldn't really experience it properly. But on the reMarkable Pure, we definitely have, I think that to date, this is the fastest type of navigation that I have had on a reMarkable system. So it's another thing to kind of expect from the Pure. So now let's start diving into the documents testing. So if I open a text document, this is a normal test document that I would normally use. We can see that, the navigation is really nice and quick. What I like is that we don't have too much ghosting going around, and the precision of rendering is actually quite good. So this is how the image looks like on a PDF file, but even though the fonts are relatively smaller, it's actually quite comfortable to read because the contrast does appear to be nicer. The readability is quite nice. I can't really say that I can clearly see that it's a 226 panel, but I'm sure that if I start comparing it one-to-one, that we will inevitably have to see some differences between the 300 ppi panels and the 227 panel, because simply physically there's more data involved. But that being said, you know, thin and small fonts here rendered quite nicely. Next, we are checking out the rendering in the image quality of the images, and this is the standard file that I use. It's a very, very demanding and difficult document. Huge white, kind of blocky letters imposed on the black one, so we do have some ghosting in the grayscale. The black and white contrast is being handled well, so that cleaning is good, but unfortunately we have a little bit of ghosting coming up here. So here it's okay, and we go back, we do see that spire, and if we go here, we clearly see the spires on the side. Some ghosting absolutely is present. On reMarkable particularly, that matters, simply because you do not have a manual refresh control. The rendering of the grayscale is really, really nice, and we don't have that much color banding at all. And for the first time ever, that's at least my first impression, we have very nicely calibrated gray colors palette on a reMarkable device. They are saying that they've managed to make it brighter than before and darker than before, and what I can clearly see is that I can see more details, more pop, and much nicer image quality than what I remember seeing from the reMarkable 2. Taking a look at this after Kindle Scribe as well, even though you guys are gonna see this review before, yeah, I gotta say that I prefer the image quality that I'm seeing here than I do on the monochromatic image quality of the Kindle Scribe. We have now the identical document opened on reMarkable 2 and on reMarkable Pure, and I am supposed to see immediately the difference in brightness. I can't say that I do. I don't see immediately with my naked eye. I can't really perceive that there's a difference in the whiteness between these two. What I can see is better black rendering on the reMarkable Pure, because the text on the reMarkable 2 seems kind of faded and a little bit more difficult to read, while on the Pure it's ever so slightly not so slightly, it's actually more poppier, which makes the outlines kind of more sharper, and the text itself pops a little bit more from the surface. You can especially see it in this here. I hope that the camera can actually catch that, and we can see that, yeah, the responsiveness, so that sluggishness of the reMarkable 2, it's there. It's nothing drastically faster, but it just feels everything is done much sooner on the Paper Pro. Sorry, Paper, not Paper, Pure. Oh my god, so many P's. While, as you can see, I'm still trying to flip a page on the reMarkable 2. So let's do that kind of a test. As you can see, again, there we go. So we're starting on page 13. I'm going to flip 10 pages. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And reMarkable 2 has kind of gone like, oh, I don't know what you want from me. 21 maybe? While Pure says, nope, 23, because we started 13, right? So well, let's go back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And we are on 13, and we are on 15 from 21 on reMarkable 2. So that type of responsiveness, it's just like way better on the Pure. So I can do like, for example, page 20, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It got confused, but it counted 10 pages. If I were to do that on a reMarkable 2, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. From 16 to 24. It just can't do that. Where Pure is actually able to handle what is most likely MU PDF type of rendering for PDF documents. All right, let's see the rendering of the images and how that translates. Well, they are similar, but we can definitely see that stronger, denser rendering of black colors. It's much, much stronger than on the reMarkable 2, and that helps with the overall image quality, I think. So it feels more dense than the reMarkable 2, which is technically the same 226 ppi resolution. This is very, very difficult for a grayscale to kind of render properly, but you can see that it's just a little bit tighter, a little bit sharper, a little bit more crispier. So I think that the overall configuration is just better. Here, against the black, darker blacks, the white pops more and it kind of seems like it's brighter. I don't think it is actually brighter. I don't get that impression, but I absolutely get an impression of better sharpness, better contrast, and better image quality than what we've had on the reMarkable 2. And let's test it out now with the performance in a slightly more advanced and demanding document, MDO 2027. It's out now on mydeepguide.com, either .com or .com/shop. You will be able to find the latest version of my daily organizer, which has much more increased and better rendering of contrast and sharpness and all of these things. And it is an 1,800-page document with over 13,000 hyperlinks that navigate throughout all of the kind of documents. So it's a good test for image quality, sharpness, and clarity because I have pixel perfect graphics, and already now you can see immediately that difference in the darkness, where you can see just how much paler. I mean, I've tried to get as much as I can from the reMarkable 2, but it simply cannot compare to the crispness and the sharpness that you will get on the reMarkable Pure. So already here you can see like very, very nice differentiation even between black and grayscale. So the clarity of reading everything just feels and reads better. All right, so let's see navigation speed between reMarkable 2. Yes, much, much faster SoC and much better handling of, everything. So if we flip to different pages, I mean, you can see through this whole document because you can navigate between weeks and then, now he really took his time to kind of get there. So let's go back to a year. It missed the touch there. Thinks a little bit, gets there. So let's flip to August 4th. Something like this. Yep. And everything is rendered really, really nice and crisp. It just feels far more modern, and thankfully so, because it's 6 years. It would be a really, really, really tricky position for reMarkable if the Pure didn't outperform dramatically reMarkable 2, as it is outperforming it now in basically every single way that I can currently see. So question, does MDO work on the reMarkable Pure? Yes, it does, and it works really, really well. All right, so now let's grab the pen and see what can we do with the pen. And I'm not going to go through all of the, capabilities of the device, simply because that's something that I think needs to be kind of handled in a different video, especially now that we have that new app that really deserves its own coverage to kind of go through the details. But for example, just to kind of see for those who are already reMarkable users, let's see how it works with kind of marking your text. Okay, so that is possible to do. Let's go with a little bit of blue, and even though we are in grayscale, the rendering is quite nice. Then we can take a ballpoint, medium black, and here I can take my notes. And now Pure starts to truly shine, because now you have the combination of really refined brushes from the tool set that the reMarkable actually has as a platform. Then you have, in this kind of example, you have the new pen, depending on what you like or not, but again, the refinement and the calibration of the pressure sensitivity, of the angle tilt, of how that kind of pen behaves and what you can do with it well, it starts to add up to quite a lot. And then you add on top of that the improved blackness and the contrast of the reMarkable Pure, and it suddenly starts to shape up into this coherent whole of a product that does make a heck of a lot of sense. How does it perform for handwriting? It's pretty much exactly the same type of character of writing feel and the performance as you've had on the Paper Pro, which makes sense. Same pen, same nib, same screen, therefore everything else is the same, right? Well, if I were to not look at the whole thing and just write, listen and feel, yes, I think that it would feel and sound exactly the same. But again, that increased contrast and the density, it's just the impression of the density of the screen. I don't get the impression that it's brighter, but the saturation of the darkness is the one that's the biggest advantage here, and this is the best performing dark colors and overall grayscale colors calibration across the range of any reMarkable device that they have released thus far. And that translates really strongly into the equation of the writing experience. Because similarly to the typing, how fast it was when I was typing on it, and how the navigation is fast and responsive all over, how the menus are responsive because of the new SoC, we couldn't see any of that on the Paper Pro series. And we couldn't feel what the writing experience will be like when it's actually complete, when you have this whole combination, this pen, this nib, this screen, this performance, this type of feel, but also a black color and not a deep indigo and ghostly type of trails of the Gallery 3 screen technology refreshing. We no longer have that on the reMarkable Pure, and unless I'm mistaken, they are doing some anti-aliasing here. This is gonna be tricky because I have to hold it in my hand as well, and I'm gonna try and take a thicker pen, and let's see if I can catch it in the act. It's very subtle. I hope that the camera is able to catch this, but once you're done with this, there's an ever so slight kind of filtration that just cleans up the stroke. I really hope that the camera can actually catch that. So pressure sensitive pens are good. How does it perform with the fine liner? This is with a fine liner. Yeah, again, I think that it feels really good. It's incredibly interesting, to me at least, how much it matters to have all aspects of a certain experience synchronized with each other to provide a good experience. And I think this is what we have as an example on the Pure. We had elements of these things on the Paper Pro and the Paper Pro Move, but not complete. Here, it feels complete. Let's say what is today. Today I'm filming, well, it's not 2027, so it doesn't matter, so it can be any day at all. And one of the natural kind of things for the MDO to work with is the ability to kind of effortlessly zoom in to a section and start feeling things out. And this is the first time that it truly is effortless on reMarkable as well, because this type of performance just works normally. I think that it just works properly, and I wasn't able to have that type of responsiveness and ease of use record reMarkable pure material and B-roll footage, and then we are going to start editing the material, and then surprise intro, which is no longer going to be a surprise, is it? Because you will have already seen it, but I haven't done it yet. So weird. But anyway, the whole point is that I just wish that they had that zooming thing kind of working normally. Now I can use the thin brushes as well, and content still to remain readable. If I want, I can use calligraphy as well, which is kind of nice, but it does like to be on the thicker side and bigger fonts. They are very, very grateful for that type of a pen. Whenever I've used reMarkable, any reMarkable previously, reMarkable 2 mostly, I was always resorting and using fineliner because it's not pressure sensitive, so it gave me the best readability of the lines. But on the Pure, I like using the ballpoint more. Because of the precision, because of the blackness, because of the niceties of the rendering. It's like for the first time, a lot of things that were missing, and granted, I maintain they should have been here much, much, much earlier, but they are here now. So now it's time to compare the claims of the screen from the reMarkable Pure with its competition and contemporaries and 300 ppi displays. And here I have the iFlytek AINote 2, which is 300 ppi, 10.3 monochromatic, no front light, versus this one. And immediately, my impression at least, we will see in the in-depth review once I actually compare the results, my impression is that the iFlytek's whites are whiter, and that the blacks are blacker. And there's simply no way that you can go around the physical density of the amount of ink particles that you will have on a per pixel basis. This one simply has more white electrophoretic cells and more black electrophoretic cells to display the same pixel than this screen. So even though I think that they are doing an excellent job with what they are doing on the Pure, it's not what they are saying as a claim that you won't be able to see the difference between the 300. When you put them back to back, it is fairly clear what's 227 and what's 300 ppi. Even from here, I can actually see like newly acquired data. That one looks very, very different. And even though this is not an ideal type of a shot, I hope that it will be enough for you to actually see the difference between the same type of text. So if we focus on newly acquired data sets, and the amount of details that we can see on iFlytek, for example here, in the characters themselves, is simply different and better than what we can see on the Pure, which is to be expected because they have a different resolution. And if we compare the rendering of images between the two, again, AINote 2 on the right-hand side, paper or Pure on the left-hand side, yeah, we see a different character of rendering, but we simply see even more details and more stuff popping out. But we also see how dirty and a lot of color banding happening here. Yeah, on the AINote, and you can't really do much about that. So the quality of the rendering is much, much better on the reMarkable. But if we're just talking pure 300 ppi versus 227 ppi, it does reflect there as well. And the whites, again, across the board, appear whiter to me on the AINote 2, for example. Absolutely they do. than on the paper, not paper, I'm gonna be calling it paper for a long time, but on the Pure. So that's how it compares to the AINote 2. And here we have Go 10.3 in HD refresh mode, no contrast bumping or anything like that, so just like pure kind of settings, and the Pure here. And even though they're very close, you can definitely see 300 ppi. No matter how much magic work they've done on the Canvas Generation 3 here on the Pure, which they've done, because it's definitely like a night and day difference between reMarkable 2 and the Pure. But still, when you compare a 227 ppi screen to a 300 ppi screen, there is a difference. And there's no way around it. It's just there. Apropos the darkness and brightness, Go 10.3 Gen 1 is one of the darker displays. I know that from the DAF analysis that I did when I compared it to other devices, and iFlytek is a brighter device. That we also know from the testing. So what surprises me here is that I don't really see a clear difference in the whiteness between the Pure and the Go 10.3, and if anything, unless my eyes are deceiving me, which may well be true, because at this point this can easily be an optical illusion because of the sharpness and darkness of the characters here, but my impression, at least without taking measurements, is that the Go 10.3 Gen 1 is ever so slightly brighter than the Pure. That may not be true. That's again something that we'll see once I do the reMarkable Pure DAF testing, and then we'll see, apples to apples and how it actually measures out. And if we now compare the magazine in the same type of display between Go 10.3 Gen 1 and the Pure, same document, comparing here, it's very, very clear. Darker colors are darker. And this time, unlike the AINote, the Books platform is able to render color differentiation in a good way. And now we actually have outperforming the image quality of the Pure. And on top of that, you do have a lot of settings that you can adjust further on. Like right now I have everything turned off because I want it to be kind of fair and all that kind of stuff, but you do have additional settings where you can go into custom and then so you can make it even brighter if you want. But even so, the darks are not gone. The density of the 300 ppi screen simply stays. And that's very, very noticeable in this contrasting here, how the white text renders on top of a dark surface on Go 10.3 versus the Pure. So we have the Pure like this and Go 10.3 like this, and then you put them side by side, and although they are similar, it's undeniable that the difference is there. So there you have it. It's the reMarkable Pure. What are your thoughts on this? For me personally, I love basically most of it, and I can live with the screen, but I don't understand why the lack of the 300 ppi screen. I favor devices that do not have a front light, and my policy is if you can't read on a device that has no front light, it's not the device's fault, it's your environment's fault. So adjust your environmental lighting if you want to take care of your eye peepholes. But I absolutely fully acknowledge and understand that there's going to be a huge number of people who simply say, I rely on a front light and I need it. And that's okay. That's perfectly valid, but that will automatically eliminate the Pure for that portion of people as well. On the other hand, I absolutely love the design. I love the fact that they went with the plastic cover and how well it's executed. And as I've already talked about it, the impact on the weight and just how a device like this then feels in a hand just sets me more free to use it. This is the very first time that we have a reMarkable device that is properly able to render black colors like the competitors do. However, as we've already seen as well, that goes up to the edge of the density of electrophoretic cells in the display, and when you have 227 ppi, the pixels will simply not be as dense as on the 300 ppi. So it won't be able to match the density, the contrast and the punchiness of a 300 ppi, but it will offer really good performance for a 227 ppi display. So if you're the type of customer who cares about the numbers and you want to have the latest and the greatest, this is not for you. Dual core, 32 gigabytes of storage, non-expandable and all that kind of stuff, no front light, it's like definitely not aimed for you. So who is this aimed for? Well, I think this is aimed for people who actually work. That's where this device needs to deliver. I think that it has really good potential to become portable replacement for paper, note-taking, meeting minutes, your planning, your organizing. In My Daily Organizer, for example, it's an excellent companion to the reMarkable Pure, as you've seen, and it performs really well here. Combined with a really fast writing latency and the writing feel that, to me, except for that initial kind of hardness of the tapping of the tip of the pen with the screen, everything else about the writing is really nice. And then on top of that, you get that super nice black rendering of the written strokes. It just becomes this more complete package than what we've ever had from reMarkable devices thus far. Because let's remember, reMarkable 1 had a really dark screen and very slow. reMarkable 2, really big success. It's super sexy, super sleek, and it was very fast for the time, but it always struggled with the image rendering quality, with the strokes rendering quality, and even today it's consistently struggling with producing satisfying levels of black color. So much so that even built-in templates for notebooks were incredibly pale that some users can't even see the lines. Then we have the reMarkable Pro series, which is a completely different beast, gallery tree, colors, and a can of worms that opens up with a gallery tree, how it refreshes, no black color, just deep indigo and all of that kind of stuff. So Pure enters to remedy that situation, long overdue. I think that this, again, should have been resolved way before going into a foray with reMarkable Paper Pro stuff. This is a more important device, but it's finally here. And then you get reMarkable, who says, hey, here's cheaper than what you expected. And when you put that element into the equation, and then it becomes simply a device that makes sense. As you probably know, reMarkable is going through a chaotic period in time, so they laid off about 200 people, another change of the CEO, they have a temporary CEO now in place until they find somebody else, and in the midst of all of that, they have a product launch, and here's the latest bit of information that's important regarding the reMarkable Pure, and that is that, technically speaking, this has become a paper launch. Why? Because as of about an hour ago, I received a notification from reMarkable that even though the launch announcement is still happening on May 6th, which is tomorrow for me, from the day when recording this video, customers will only be able to purchase or pre-order the device, and the shipping of the devices will start from June 6th. So you won't be able to get your device immediately now, you will only be able to get your devices in June later on. They said that the reason behind this is that they want to ensure that the quality assurance and quality control are up to standard and that the users are receiving the units the way they want them to. No delay is a good delay, and I don't think that anyone would actually come to this decision like the day before the launch. It's like, oh crap, we gotta move it. I don't think that they've reached that decision lightly, and there has to be a good reason behind it, but I don't really know personally what that reason may be. All I can hope is that they resolve whatever it is that's caused this kind of thing, and that once the unit starts to ship to the end users, that they will receive a satisfactory quality unit, something that's going to last a long time, and something that's going to be able to do the work for them, because that's ultimately what this device is for. So there you have it. That's the reMarkable Pure. And those are my first impressions. I'm really interested to hear your opinions, your take on this device, and is this something that you are interested in? Is this something that you've waited for? Are you disappointed that it doesn't have 300 ppi? Does it matter at all once you've actually seen the comparisons and how it compares? Are you disappointed, and does it affect you that it doesn't have a front light? All of that kind of stuff I think is going to be helpful for other users as well, to read perspectives and opinions of others. It's going to be useful for me to understand the perspective of you guys as well. And I know that the reMarkable people are reading through the comments and watching the videos, and I think this is going to be useful for them as well, so they can follow and understand what the mentality is of their customers and their potential customers as well. I hope that you liked the video. If you did, please like, subscribe. It genuinely does help the channel. And thank you so much for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy, and see you in the next video. Bye!